right, lots going on in 3G where we have to use several different concepts in order to answer these questions. So for this one here, we're going to need to use the distributive property and combining like terms. And I'm going to go ahead and leave change opposite here and leave change opposite here. And I might as well keep going here. Leave, change opposite, leave, change opposite. Okay, so at this point, we cannot add the 5x and the negative 7 because adding does not come first in the order of operations. Multiplication and division come before addition. So that means we're going to need to use the distributive property to multiply because there's nothing we can do inside the parentheses here. These are not like terms. So let's just go ahead and do the distributive property. Negative 7 times a positive 2 is a negative 14. And a negative 7 times a negative 4x is a positive 28x. And then I still have my 5x and my plus. And so at this point, it's just a matter of combining like terms. The two terms that are going to go together are the 5x and the 28x. And so we know that those together make 33x, and then we would have the plus negative 14 as our final answer. Moving on to this one, we are going to need to use the distributive property so that we can take care of the multiplication as our first step. Negative 6 times positive 6a is negative 36a. We have a plus sign in the middle. Negative 6 times negative 3 is a positive 18. We have a plus negative 2 comes down and a plus 3a. And so now it's just a matter of combining like terms. So we put our a's together. A negative 36 added to a positive 3, the signs are different, which means we find the difference. So 36 subtract 3 would be 33a, and that would be negative. So we would have a negative 33a, and then we have our constants here. We have a positive 8 together with a negative 2. And so you can put those together. They would be subtracting because the signs are different. And so a positive 18 and a negative 2 make positive 16, and that would be your last term of this answer. Coming down here, a rectangle has an area of 15x plus 30. So I'm just going to kind of label the inside because that's what area means. And we were to find the two sides that would multiply to give you 15x plus 30. Now, interestingly, there were several right answers for this. You could have factored out 2, you could have factored out 3, or you could have factored out 5. So I guess we'll just do all of them, okay? If we factor out a 5 as one of our sides, then what would we have inside the parentheses? Well, 5 times what gives us 15? That would be 3. So 5 times 3x, plus sign in the middle, and then 5 times what gives you 30? Well, that would be 6. Okay, so that is the first combination we could have had. 5 as one side and 3x plus 6 as another. Or let's factor out a 3. If we factor out a 3, what are we going to have as our other side? Well, 3 times 5x will give you 15x. 3 times 10 will give you 30, and that would be a plus sign in the middle. So that would be the second option. Or we could have factored out a 2. And let's think about it. Oh, wait, 2 is not going to work actually because 15 does not divide by 2. However, where I was going with this is 30 divides by 15 to give us 2. So we actually could have factored out a 15. So in that case, that is essentially the greatest common factor. 15 times 1x is going to give you the 15x, and 15 times 2 is going to give you the 30. And so these are our three options that we could have had. Any of them was right. Now when we find the perimeter of the rectangle, if x is equal to 3, we have to plug in 3 for whichever combination we chose. Okay, so let's just kind of draw our three rectangles. We could have, that's a really terrible rectangle, sorry. We could have 5 and 3x plus 6. We could have 3 and 5x plus 10. Or we could have 15 and x plus 2. And so basically we know that rectangles are always the same on opposite sides. And so we could go ahead and label that if we wanted to, just to remind ourselves of all the four sides. Because when we're finding perimeter, we have to add up all the sides. And so we're just evaluating now with our parenthetical promise if x is equal to 3. Which means every time we see an x, we would put a 3 in instead. And I'll just go ahead and very messily do this just to kind of show you what this would look like. Okay? And so for the perimeter of this one, we would have 3 times 3, which is 9. 9 plus 6 is 15. So we would have 15 up here, 15 down here, 5 and 5. So 15 and 15 make 30, and 5 and 5 make another 10, so that would be 40. Coming down here, 5 times 3 is 15. 15 plus 10 is 25. So we would have 25 on the top and the bottom and 3 on the sides. So 25 and 25 make 50. And 50 plus 6 is 56. So that would be the perimeter for that one. And for the third one, 3 plus 2 is 5. So we would have 5 on that side, 5 on this side, and 15 and 15. And that would also actually make a perimeter of 40. So when you're coming up with your answer, just make sure that you chose one of these combinations and that the perimeter matches the combination that you chose.